Speaking of people being broken, have you seen a lot of Man United fans get stick for saying that watching Kobe Mainoo reminds me of Seedorf? Have you guys seen that? People say that.
Yeah, I see you quote tweeted saying earlier.
Turns out that Clarence Seedorf says that he reminds me of a young me with his body and his movement. That's exactly what we says. But he says that he's got more maturity on the ball. I think he's been very humble here, Clarence Seedorf. He was amazing as a young man, but I just thought it was funny. Because none of us are saying he's as good as Clarence Seedorf. We're just saying the way he moves reminds us of him. So stick that one in your pipe and smoke it. So our FA Cup winner, 19 years old, who dunked on his local rivals. Can't write it.
Have you boys seen that Juventus are like now in advanced talks to get Douglas Luiz?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're giving them Illing Jr. and Weston McKennie and 20 million euros.
And apparently City still have a 20% sell-on fee. So I don't know how that works if they're getting players.
No, you'll get part of the fee. So you'll get like 20% of the 8 million.
Of the 20 million.
Of the 20 million, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but is that not like surely that's not right though, Terry? Because like,
well,
if you're a club,
sorry.
Because if you're a club, surely then you would be more willing to do player deals. Because if you get a player in, you'd be like, well, we'd have to pay the sell-on fee now because we've got a player in. So surely it's structured in a different way.
Yeah. It will be depending on how it's worded. If it might say total valuation of the sale. If it says like the valuation of the cash, like if it might mention the cash part of the sale. If it says valuation, then there'll probably be a sort of a conversation between the two clubs around, well, the deal, we value the deal at 50 million or whatever. So yeah, you guys are going to earn something out of it. But do you know what I find mad about it? I understand, but a few weeks ago when there was talk, will Arsenal come in for him? Why would he leave Villa with how well they're doing to play for Arsenal? Bigger club. Why is he leaving Villa? Have just got in the Champions League to play for Juve? Because they're just. I don't mean it rudely to Aston Villa. I know you've got European success, a very long time ago, but you pale into insignificance compared to a Juve. They are just an exponentially bigger football club entity. The status of playing for a club like that is crazy. The only element that's frustrating is, I know we do it to stop our rivals getting players, but no one in the Prem could get him this cheap. That's the bit that annoys me, is whether it's to ourselves or us buying off our European counterparts, it's so expensive for our clubs to buy players. You could never pay 20 million and swap a couple of okay players to get someone like Douglas Luiz in England. There's no way. There would no way they would accept it.
No chance. How much has he probably gone for then? We're saying like 50 mil. Is that what we're valuing?
Samuel Illing Jr. is like according to Transfer Market is worth 28 million euro.
And
Weston McKennie's worth 20 million euro.
Yeah, Weston McKennie's worth like a packet of Space Raiders.
We're looking around 55 mil. There's no way. I do not see any English club getting him for 55 mil if an English club went.
And that's euro as well, so that's like probably 48 million pounds.
Yeah, no way, man.
Yeah,
no way.
It's crazy. It's crazy, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You see it already. Villa are going to have players taken away. There's talk today that Atti are going to buy the Girona striker.
Ukraine one.
That he's going to go there. You've seen a couple of the Bayer Leverkusen players. He's
a machine, that striker, by the way. He got golden
them. Even Lookman, who had the final, scored the hat trick. 2 or 3 bigger clubs now looking at him. This is what happens. But yeah, it's just kind of stopped to a degree in England, where you can sort of take players off each other a little bit easier. But I still think, I don't know what Arsenal's plans are, but they should just be all over this Douglas Luiz situation. Stick a bid in, maybe try and turn his head. He is willing to leave Aston Villa, of course he is, for a bigger football club. I think he's an excellent player. I really think he's excellent.
Didn't he win their Player of the Year as well?
He may have done.
Watkins, surely. Surely it was Watkins who won the Player of the Year.
I could have sworn
he got like his G&A was wild. Surely it was Watkins.
Douglas Luiz did well as well. He got. I
know he did.
Ollie Watkins won Supporters Player of the Year and Players Player of the Year.
I could have sworn I see on Twitter Luiz was holding like a little award.
Nah,
I don't know.
Regardless, he had a really good season. He got like 16, 15 GA.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's a good player, man. He's a good player. We obviously signed him
back at City. Because if Rodri goes out, who's in that role?
Well, this is who we're linked with, isn't it? We're linked with Kimmich. We're linked with Bruno. Yeah, probably we'll take him. Yeah.
How old's Kimmich now? He's what, 28?
29 years. But apparently it's cheap, man. Apparently you can get him for cheap because he's only got 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah, I've seen
talking about Goretzka as well, aren't they? Like, both of them.
Nah,
I don't know if
you don't want him.
did finally
Don't
get
want
called up
Goretzka.
for the German squad. There was talk about him not being in it.
No, I don't rate him, mate. I don't rate him.
What?
I don't rate that. Goretzka.
You don't rate Goretzka? Did you
Don't
watch
know
him
what he
like in both the legs against Arsenal? He was unreal.
I watched him. Nah, I just don't. Nah, I don't rate him. I don't rate him. Never rated him really.
Really? Oh, fair enough.
Since he packed on the muscle, I'm like, what's he doing? You remember when he?
They do that like I don't know what they're feeding him over like in Munich, but Lewandowski all of a sudden
What's
had
that
like
do?
a Gary Cahill arms.
What's his game?
Box to box DM, really.
Nah,
he's everywhere. He's absolutely
box to box DM. How does that work?
Who's the guy? Is it Lima?
How does box to box DM work?
No, he's box to box, but can play DM. Like him and Lima. If you watch the way they're constantly rotating, and then they have Musiala in front.
Oh, is that like those defense? Is that like those defensive strikers? Do you know what I mean? Box to box DM.
Nah, not for me. I just don't rate him, man. Personally, and he's 29 as well. So
yeah, I think Goretzka's okay. I think he's okay. I think he's okay. Okay. Again, I'm talking here on the elite end of the spectrum, so I'm not saying he's a championship player.
Yeah. Not Spurs level.
Yeah, I think he's okay.
Spurs a heartbeat.
Yeah, I know you would.
Yeah, but you would. You're Spurs, mate.
So as a Man United fan, you wouldn't take Leon Goretzka in your midfield.
I'm not saying I wouldn't take him. He's better than what we've got. See, this is what people do, right? He is
definitely
better.
I'm not saying you're.
He's better than Scott McTominay. I'm not going to deny you that. But I want.
How many teams in the league does he start for?
He don't start for us. He
doesn't
start
for everyone other than the top two.
Doesn't start for City. I don't know if he starts for Liverpool. You know.
I think he does.
But you saying, but is he a DM? I don't really know.
He can play the 6. But his actual role is the 8 in the way Bayern play.
Okay, so he's the 8. Who am I taking? Him or McAllister? I'm taking McAllister.
Yeah, but McAllister's play the 6 a lot of this season.
Yeah, but that's because they haven't got 6.
Yes, he didn't mean to. He wasn't meant to.
It's not meant to be the way. Like, I think he's a good player, but I don't. I mean, they only value him at 30 million euros, though. Now, if you could pick him up for about 20 million, 25 million pounds, that's not a bad bit of business to strengthen your midfield. But the way people talk about him as this linchpin to a midfield, I don't know if he's that guy.
Nah. I've never watched him and thought, yeah, he's a baller. Never watched him and thought he's a baller.
See, look, this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's not better than Scott McTominay, but I'm saying if we're going to invest the money with cost, and I'm talking salary here, I would maybe want to go for better than him. I think he's okay. I think he's good. I'm not saying he's bad. I think he's good. Yeah, Kimmich, on the other hand, different level, different gravy. But that's just me. Maybe that's just me. Another super chat here says maybe with the incoming changes to the salary cap, Premier League clubs are more inclined to do player swaps to go around those limits. Yeah, I mean that's gonna. I mean, that could definitely come in that way. Oh, Mr. Terry, you express my messages best with feel. Like it. Cheers, Don. Appreciate that. Always good. Always a good chat. I want to speak about another transfer. I want to get your opinions on this, boys. I forgot what club he's at. Crystal Palace have briefed the media today, stating that anyone that wants to sign Michael Olise has to agree the fee with us first before talking to the player. This comes after some reports that Chelsea have verbally agreed personal terms with the player. They were, of course, threatened last year by Crystal Palace for tapping the player up. Seems like they're laying the ground again now, Crystal Palace, by saying you come to us first and then we give you permission. What are you saying?
I thought he had a release clause, did he not? Does he not have a release clause? I thought he had a release clause, like 60 mil or something like that. Maybe I misread it. Maybe it's someone else.
But they're saying but they're saying that you have to put that bid through us and get it accepted before you still speak to our player.
Well, I mean, they're probably technically right, but I mean, I imagine that if you're going to sign the player, I mean, let's be honest, yeah, no one's doing a transfer the way transfers are meant to be done. No one's agreeing a deal with the club, not speaking to a player or an agent at all, and then once it's agreed, goes to the player and the agent and goes, "Hey, mate, we've agreed a deal for him to join our club. Do you fancy join?" No one does that. There's always at least a call to an agent first to say, "Hey, mate, it's Man City. Hey, mate, it's United. It's Tottenham. Whatever. We're interested in agreeing a deal. Would your client, the player, be happy to join us. What kind of wage you're looking at? Yeah, sweet, right. We're probably all right to. They probably don't agree like full personal terms. They might do it sometimes, but they probably agree like a little outline. Then they go to the club, agree the deal, do the personal terms. Bob's your uncle. No one's doing the deals the way they're meant to be doing.
I don't think Olise's leaving anyway. I don't think he's going to go.
Go on, expand on that.
Because there's a lot of players at Palace being linked away, right? You've got Gahey's, who's got 2 years left on his deal. He's been linked to move away. We've been after Eze for probably this will be the second window now. You know, we've been in contact with him. He's a lot of the same agency as our players. I don't see a window in which Palace sell both Olise and Eze. And out of the two, I think Eze is more likely to go. I mean, we said this yesterday on Terrace. If you're Olise and you've got Chelsea and Man United after you, I personally think he'd be better at Man United because they've already got Cole Palmer, Madueke, and Konku can play out there. And on the right, you know, they've got, I mean, Anthony, he's a bit naff.
Yeah, but doesn't Eze have a release clause as well, though, Henry?
Yeah, he does. 60 million with really 8 million
Palace's control, though, is it?
But as that comment I put up a few minutes ago said, and I've read this, is that it's the thing with a lot of the English clubs that have these release clauses. They're not the same as some on the continent. They're a little bit more complex in the sense of, because some players have what they call a release clause, but then when you go for the nitty gritty, it just says, well, all it actually says is we have to tell the player that the bids come in. They don't actually have to accept it. There are others where they have to hit a certain limit, but the club still needs to give the okay, which I find strange, because what's the point of a release clause if it doesn't instantly trigger it? So you get a lot of that. But I just think that I think a little bit of this is Palace panic. I do agree with you, LB, that they've got 2 players that want to leave with release clauses. They started playing well at the end of the season. So suddenly a player like Mateta, who I don't care about all the hipsters that suddenly fall in love with a player because of form. Nobody wanted to buy him at any club in England or Europe throughout the whole of last season until the last 3 months. Suddenly, he looks like sort of a peak Lukaku. Do you know what I mean? You know, quick, bullish, you know, excellent, actually probably better technically on the ball, if I'm being honest, than Lukaku. Lukaku's first touch was pretty poor, where Mateta's is pretty decent. But it's just, I think Palace are a little bit worried. They're going to, just when they start looking good under their new manager, they might end up losing their players, and they're kind of sending out this threat, as it were. But you are right. No club conduct themselves by the letter of the law when it comes to transfers. No one.
Of course not. And that is true. That is sad for Palace, right? But at the end of the day, like, that's the deals that they've agreed. They've agreed to put those release clauses in there. They're going to get, I imagine, quite a bit of money. You know, what's the Eze release clause? Do we know what that is?
He's got 60 million release clause with 8 million in add-ons.
And what's
I personally think that deal was already done.
And Olise is the same, is it? 60 mil.
I think Olise, I believe until he signed his new deal, it was like 34 million. Then he signed his new contract last season, and now there's various different reports. He's probably around the same, but I personally think Olise will stay another year. Similar to the Sesko situation.
Well, why is no one activating that then? Because 60 million quid from Olise, am I missing something? That seems like pretty decent value this day and age.
I'm surprised City haven't looked at him either. On that right-hand side, I think he'd be absolutely brilliant the way you play. But it's Man United and Chelsea, they're 2 boys. But it seems that only Spurs, and I think the only other one that's been linked to Eze is Newcastle. And there's all the reports that Newcastle have got to sell before they've got to buy. And then all of a sudden, the Bruno and the Isak links come out. I think City were looking at Wharton, wasn't there? Like rumors of it, they want 90 million for Wharton. Like the guy's he only just turned up from Blackburn in January. Like, boots on the floor. And this is why the Sesko news. I don't think people should be surprised he stayed at Leipzig. Like, I really don't. He's had 1 season in the Bundesliga where he's actually performed at a very, very good level. And he's only 21 years of age. Haaland was the same.
But the striker market's is a bit dead, so you seems to taking more risks. Hence United with Haaland.
I get that, but like when Haaland, when Ollie was the manager, they wanted Haaland a lot, right? He said 1 more year in the Bundesliga, smashed it once again, and then City come crawling. Are we not like, I know the striker market is dead, but has he got to like walk before he can run? You've had 1 season in the Bundesliga. And I guess you could, to my point about Thiago Motta earlier, like he probably needs another year in management before he gets linked to a Man United job. Do we not need to like boots on the floor before we start like
But the problem is, by that time, the player's gone. They've gone to a bigger club. So let's say Sesko does stay. He's staying. He stays this year. Smashes it again this year at Leipzig. Yeah.
But then you go back in for him. He's got more experience. He's got another year under his belt.
Right, and then they're competing with bigger and better clubs. Because then other clubs that need a striker, or the big clubs then will be like, yo, this guy's the one. So this is what I'm saying. Teams are now gambling earlier. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, by the way, but teams are gambling earlier on these young players because there's not a lot of good players out there. Now, I look at someone like Griezmann, apparently has a £12 million release clause. Yeah. I know he's 33, but he can do a job. You know what I mean? Go and get him. Dovkick, he's not an attractive type of player for an English Premier League side. No English club's ever going to get him.
Is that the Girona striker?
That's the Girona striker. You know, so